In today's podcast, we are going to be talking about how to attract a high character man, the type of man who stands up for you, who puts in effort, and who really is in it for the long term, not the short term. And guess what? It's not what you think. This podcast is going to be very different than probably what you're expecting. Gary, this is going to be a good one, man. I'm excited for it.
I like this. I like these kind of podcasts where it's a little bit of a head fake. You think it's going to be one thing. Everyone else talks about how to attract a high character man in certain kind of predictable ways. And what we're sharing today is not at all what anybody would suspect, but it's extremely important. Yeah,
because so many of these podcasts are focused on the guy, what to say, what to do, who to look out for, what red flags to look for in a guy. But today's podcast is going to be focused on something very different, which is not discussing any of those things, but instead discussing those who are around you, okay? Because finding your amazing guy, it can be a lot easier when you find other people first to really support you, So today we're going to be talking all about this idea of building community around you so that you feel like finding love is just less stressful. And here's the best kicker of it all, right, Gary, is that it makes you more attractive throughout the process. It really does. So stick with us through this.
I love it, right? Because I love just this idea, and it's kind of poetic. Like, what if your greatest strength wasn't within you, but all around you? And when you're around your friends, don't you feel that way? When you feel connected to others, don't you feel stronger, more empowered, more capable, ready to take on the world? Like, that's really what it's all about. And so that's what we're talking about today is how's your tribe, your vibe, the importance of having others around you who understand you, who know you, who accept your journey, and how those close people actually make you even more attractive than you already are.
Absolutely. And I just want to tell a quick story about when Gary and I first started working together a long time ago. And Gary, I think I've told this story before, but Gary and I decided we were going to have a lakeside weekend together and just hang out and plan the future of love strategies. Of course, we ended up getting drunk for most of the weekend, which was super fun. While strategizing, we were working.
We worked a lot. We worked a lot.
But what I will say is I came into this weekend talking all about what is our course going to look like? We're going to update the course, update the content. What are we going to be teaching? What strategies? And Gary takes a sip of his IPA and says, Adam, you got it all wrong, dude. What are you talking about, man? He's like, yes, the course is important. Strategies are important. But what's most important is building a really tight community. Because when people are connected with one another, they have a group of friends, suddenly it raises the quality of people they allow into their life. Like you can very quickly identify the type of relationship a person will be in based on their current friend group. It's wild. And so Gary, I just got to give you props, man. Like you really redirected my thinking on this. And that's what's led to such an extraordinary growth of love strategies over the past 4 or 5 years is our insane focus on connecting people both locally and around the world so that at any time throughout the process, if we're starting to lower our standards as to what guys we're dating or who it is that we're going out with, we have a friend group that's like, hey, check yourself before you wreck yourself here. All right. No. Raise your standards of your friend group and suddenly you raise your standards of your relationships. And I love that, Gary. And I got to give you props on that one. That was huge.
Well, thank you. I also just did not anticipate you dropping weird, obscure music lyrics like check yourself before you wreck yourself right now. But I got to say, kudos. Well done, sir. And I think, so much of this connection stuff and why it was such an important thing for me to emphasize is, I don't know, like working with people in their relationship stuff for literally 20 plus years at this point, it's just so unfair. The world is so unkind to single people. It's so incredibly hard when you're trying to go about your life alone without support, particularly dating. Like dating is tough and trying to figure it all out on your own, particularly if you have a bunch of friends who are already in relationships, they don't get it. It makes you feel judged. It makes you feel less than. It makes you feel even more alone. Even though you do have friends, if they don't really fully understand what you're going through, it can make you just feel like you're not in a safe place. You don't have a strong foundation. And so what I knew and what I've continued to see with clients over the years is just how important it is to have your tribe be your vibe and have a group of fellow women who understand you, get you, support you, and just empower you on this journey. And it takes something that's incredibly difficult and makes it an enjoyable experience. And a number of our clients that say along the way, you know what? I joined this program to find a man, but if I never find a man, I have found my group. I've found my people. And it works like magic. When they start feeling like that, it's like in the next month they find their guy. Because if there's just something about like you can just like be comfortable, safe, and secure with your people. And it just changes the calculus of dating in a really profound way.
It does. And in today's podcast, we're obviously going to be talking a lot about what it is we do with coaching. But I just want to say a quick asterisk to all of this. Regardless of whether you work with us or not, this is going to be a really important lesson to be learned in your life, because we work with a lot of clients who haven't been able to find their tribe. So we give them a tribe, a very welcoming tribe. But you can find tribes in your own world. You just need to be really intentional about who you let in. And so that's going to be the goal of today. So regardless of whether or not we work together, that's totally fine. We are going to be mentioning a few of those things just to give context, because that's our world. But just know that you can get out there and find your tribe. You just have to be really intentional about that, really kind of ruthless about who you let in. And it's great practice for dating, honestly, setting those standards.
Can I talk about something nerdy?
Yeah, get into it, dude. Nerd alert.
So I really like that, you have people all around you, right? So we know about friends, we know about your own local community, we know about, frankly, just a good romantic relationship like that. Those are the connections that matter. But there's another kind of connection that we forget about that also matters. So this is like one of my favorite studies. It's this research study where they took people who were commuting and they gave them a Starbucks gift card to talk to other people, right? So some people just kind of went about their regular commute, did their regular thing. Other people were given a Starbucks gift card to basically, go and just have a conversation with a stranger. Now, pretty much everybody thought, this stranger is not going to want to talk to me, right? They're just like, absolutely not. This is so incredibly awkward. Now, the other people just sat in complete solitude, went about their day, how everyone does, on a train, particularly in like the Northeast or the North. It's like, no eye contact. You stay out of my business. I'll stay out of yours.
Get away from me is what we think people in Boston will say all the time. Hey, do you have a Dunkin' Donuts gift card? That's what they probably say. They don't want Starbucks.
Get wicked. And so, it was like, how awkward is this to just start conversations with a stranger? And so the participants in the study thought they were going to enjoy solitude more, but they didn't. The people that made weird, awkward, seemingly polite conversation with others, it went really well. They liked it. The other person liked it. And so this study was called Mistakenly Seeking Solitude. And I think it just really shows the importance of just these everyday connections, these everyday interactions. And it's actually something that, during the pandemic, it's one of the things we lost. It's what social psychologists call weak ties. It's not like your best friend. It's not even an acquaintance. It's just like, during the pandemic, you couldn't just go to the coffee shop and have like those little conversations with the people in line or the person taking your order. We just lost all that stuff. And so I'm a real big proponent of connection, obviously, but I think it starts small and these little things matter and propel you on to the bigger things. And I just think that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are in the process of launching a Love Strategies app, which has been really exciting. It's been in the works for some time now. And the greatest predictor of success that we found with our clients, even before the app, is whether or not they just connect with one other client. It can just be a message. It can be even replying in a comment from another client. Of course, if they have a phone conversation or at best they meet that person in person, that's obviously the best. But that is the single greatest predictor of them finding love. And I believe truly that it's because when they start dating, they're no longer going to have that intense kind of needy energy on a date or when they're dating. It's not coming from a place of, I need to have connection, because they already have some level of connection. Even if it's not super tight yet, they already feel like they have a bit of a support system. When we're completely alone, when we take the train every day, or for most people work from home and just kind of sit at your computer, and your only friend is your cat, which doesn't count as, I would say, a weak tie. Sorry, I'm not a cat guy. Dogs, definitely strong tie. Cats, weak tie for sure.
Please, everyone, address all hate mail to Adam.
Yes. Send it to Gary. He'll go through it all. But it just gives you that feeling that I'm going to be okay if I go on a date it doesn't work out. I'm going to be okay because I have someone to lean on. And I will just say, from a personal perspective, I remember many, many years ago, probably 15 years ago, I moved to New York City as a little bit of a test, and I didn't know anyone there. And the first 2 months were the most difficult time of my life when it came to my dating life, because I was like, I'm going to date. And, I was also a dating coach at the time. I was single at the time, which is always interesting. And it was one of the most challenging dating experiences of my life, because I went into every date, honestly, just looking for like a friend. Like, please. I know better. Like, I know what to do, but it came from within, where I was just like literally lonely. Like, if it didn't work out, I knew that my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday would just be completely in solitude. And so like, I realized that relatively quickly. And then I switched complete gears to just finding local friends in New York City, which for those who live in New York City knows that can be a challenge. But
I just imagine New York Adam reaching out to women with the opening line, "Will you be my friend?"
Will you be my friend?
And that not going well. That I could see that not going well. So let's talk about
some dating coach. Like, come on, what is this? Please, I'm moving back to Boston. That's it.
So coming back to Boston is probably a good idea. That was fun.
Yeah, it was.
So let's talk about 5 ways that community helps attract the love that you're looking for. Because I think people really wouldn't think of community as being a way to help attract love, and yet it really is. And so I think the first way that this really happens is when you're part of a community and you're just making connections with other people, you feel part of something bigger than yourself. And so there's a ton of research in social psychology about this idea of just having a need to belong. It's a fundamental motivation to just connect with other people, to be around other people. And we also know from other research that, when you're connected within a community, you have all kinds of better outcomes, health outcomes, mental health outcomes, all kinds of stuff. Super, super important. And so as I was putting this together on a recent mastermind, one of our clients, who literally is the story I talked about at the beginning, who kind of found her people and then pretty much at the exact same time found her guy, was talking about, and she kept saying joy was pouring out of her eyes, which was a really nice way to say it. Like, she was like happy tears crying through what she shared with us. Now, I changed the names for anonymity, of course, but this is a direct quote of what she shared literally just last week on a mastermind. So she was saying joy was pouring out of her eyes. But then she said, even without Steven, even if he wasn't in the picture of the relationship that I developed, I have this relationship with Jennifer. And now I really feel like with Victoria too, it's just really, really special. It's really hard for me anyway. It's hard to make friends at this age. My kids are grown. I don't have those mom friends. So this now is a friend I made for me that has nothing else to do with anybody else in my life. Nothing to do with work, nothing to do with my children. So this just feels really special.
I love that.
One of her friends who she had just met, her and a couple other clients met outside, right? Met in person. She's on the call too. She then speaks up. She's crying. They're both crying. And it's like, it just so shows the impact of having other people by your side. And it opened up her whole world in a really nice way.
Yeah. Gary, the only question I have is, did you cry?
A little bit, maybe. I even said, I was like, I'm getting goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps.
Like the feelings.
It's a precursor to the crying. And usually if I call out the goosebumps then I can like stifle my tears, but
yeah,
don't cry shame me. That's not okay.
Well, and with that, like being part of something bigger than yourself, I think something that I applaud you for very well with the community and everything we do is having a certain terms of how people behave. Because there's some communities out there that don't have kind of unwritten or written rules of the game, such as showing up with positivity, such as showing up as a high character person and what that means. And when we're in a community full of people who are adhering to these rules and these terms of engagement, suddenly it's walking into a new environment where you're like, oh my God, this is how the world could be, you know? And that's why, again, we named this podcast How to Attract a High Character Man, because the way to attract a high character guy is by being high character yourself. And the only way to be high character yourself ultimately is to be surrounded by high character people. And it's like, I know that's like a few steps of description to get there, but like, it's so, so true. If you spend your time with people who are following a different set of rules, low character rules, they lie a lot, they gossip, they are very negative, guess what? You will become that person no matter what. And so finding something that is bigger than yourself, that has a culture of doing things that is supportive, that's engaging towards you. And there's plenty of communities, there's plenty of groups in your city that you can find, whether it's through Meetup or whether it's through various associations, or you can start building your own community, your own group of friends. You can do this on your own, but you want to ensure that that community is bigger than yourself and they do adhere to these really high character rules so that everyone's coming in, and if they do not follow the script, then they can't be a part of it, you know? So I think that's
I'm going to take just a little tangent because you brought this up, and I love this about how we do things at Love Strategies, is this idea that we have community guidelines, but then it's not like rules and like ridiculous stuff. It's really a bunch of just character traits and ways of approaching things that not only apply to our community, but are all things that also help you form relationships of all kinds. So super, super quick, because I think some of these are pretty evident. Any of our clients have heard me say all of these things a bunch of times, but so here are some of our community guidelines. Give what you want to get. To achieve connection, be a connector. Be curious, not judgmental. Share perspectives, not directives, and be the person you want to attract. And so if you want to find people to connect with in a community, those 5 guidelines, it's a roadmap to complete success. But it's also a roadmap to success in your romantic relationships. Share perspectives, not directives. Share how you feel about things without bossing people around. Be curious and not judgmental. Be the person you want to attract. Like Adam said, you want to attract high character, be high character. And so, you know, I think it's something that has really helped in our community and will help it keep growing strong.
And maybe before we go to the next one, just do a quick audit in your brain of your current community and how much they're adhering to those key principles and values.
Right. Yeah. Like I say, give what you want to get, I think every single day, at least once, because it's the solution to negativity. No one wants negativity from anybody else. So don't give negativity. It's simple. Like it's actually pretty simple. So our second way, awkward transition, our second way though, to use community to find that high character guy is the great thing about having a community is you never have to go it alone. And so we know from research, loneliness is basically just terrible, right? They say it's the equivalent of smoking, really, really detrimental. And so on one of our previous podcasts, we had the client, Deb, who's amazing. We called it the Year of Deb. And one of the things that struck a chord with so many listeners that we've seen in the comments and we've seen along the way is her description of what she calls her little love sisters. This is a group of women who met through the program, and now they like hang out all the time. They're inseparable, this group. They plan trips. They've been to Vegas and Nashville. They hang out together. They started doing stand-up comedy together. They go to each other's shows. They help support each other by packing, moving. Like they're literally like a group of best friends who never knew each other before they started this journey together. And it's been a real inspiration on the podcast, but it's also an inspiration to the clients in our community now. It's the number of them are like, oh, wow, I never even thought about getting it. And like, so we have like all these little groups forming all over the country, in Canada, like it's all over the place of people getting together, creating their own little groups of little love sisters. And it's just, all right, I said I wasn't gonna cry. It's just like the most heartwarming thing. Like, it's just amazing. I love it.
It's really nice. What? Man, you're getting me right now.
It's
it
just
really
like,
is.
It's like you can just see how happy they are and like how much they needed this in their life. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's incredible.
So yeah, I'm just pausing.
You're getting me right now, Gary. It really is amazing. And the part about it that I do love the most is it's not like a high school clique where it's like exclusive.
Right.
It's like people come in and out, and whenever they're ready, they become a part of it, and it's very welcoming and very opening. And it's unlike, this might be a tangent, but we're moving away from religion and church and having that regular community. And I'm not a religious person, but I do believe that we're missing something there. And Love Strategies is certainly not a religion, but I do think it offers an incredible alternative to or an addition to church for a lot of people, or temple, or whatever it is. But it offers an ability where you can just walk in and all people are welcome with open arms.
Yeah.
And you have an incredible community, especially for those clients who are in their older years and just don't have that. So
yeah, it's like what people say CrossFit is like, but we're not going to make anybody jump up on boxes, which I think is nice.
You're talking to an ex-CrossFitter right now, and I miss that part of it. I don't miss the workouts, but yeah.
But that's the thing.
I love my personal I love the personal trainer and just get in, do a couple of weightlifting, I'm done. But man, I miss it.
Society really is becoming more disconnected, and so anywhere you can find a group is really fantastic. And so, I think it's easy for us to keep saying like, oh, community is good, community is good, community is good. But there is actually a ton of research just on the importance of having other people around you. And so this is number 3, your tribe really helps you thrive. And so having people around is a catalyst for growth. It makes it easier. There's a couple really fun research studies that I like talking about related to this, which is the first one is this idea of people looked at photos and they either looked at those photos alone or with other people. And when they looked at, and they're like photos of like nature, landscape things. And when they looked with somebody else, the photos seemed more real to them and they enjoyed looking at the photos more. And so to me, that's just like such a beautiful metaphor for like having other people around you and how they help make your life better. Now there's a second study too that I think is even cooler in many ways. Researchers were kind of out and there was a hill nearby that they would stop people walking on a path, and people were either alone or with other people. And so they asked them, like, how high do you think that hill is, basically? And so the people who were alone thought it was higher than the people who were with somebody else. Wow. And again, like, God, maybe I'm extrapolating too much, but it's like, wow, like just by having other people with you, this challenge, and walking up a hill isn't necessarily the easiest thing in the world. It's not the hardest thing in the world, but it's not easy. But it's just the hill looks less steep when you have other people with you. Like, gosh, if this doesn't speak to just how we are evolutionarily hardwired to rely on and have other people around us, I don't know. Like, I find that kind of profound.
That is profound. It's incredible. I don't know if it directly relates, but I remember many years ago, before you were part of Love Strategies, something that I would do with our coaching is I would have the clients who were already in healthy relationships or married from following our program. They would come to like the intro sessions with our brand new clients. And I thought this is great because it's like, well, now that they get to see what's possible and all of that stuff. But something interesting started to happen is that these clients actually were getting intimidated by that because they thought like, wow, I'm pretty far away from that. And that's like a tall hill to climb. That's very far.
Right.
Where the new model that I feel like we take, and we do a combination. We of course want them to hear the success stories, but it's also just being with peers who are just getting started, who are like, hey, I've never walked up this hill before. I don't know what rocks there are to climb, but I'm not alone. Like let's kind of be in it together and have a little bit of fun. And like, we can talk about the struggles that we're having and the challenges, and it's not all hunky dory all the time, and that's okay. And it's something that I see a lot of is like the newer clients banding up together because they're at the same level on the hill. Again, I'm probably killing this analogy at this point, but they're they're on the same peak at this point, and they're kind of working together and supporting each other. And when one person's down, the other person's up, and vice versa. And I found that to be just a much better model of pairing up just new people together who are just kind of at the same spot.
Yeah, I think the way we do it with mixing everybody in, I mean, there's literally someone at every stage of the relationship process on every single mastermind, constantly, right. Of course, always in the online community. But this way, there's always somebody who's exactly where you are, right? It's right. Like just the other night, 2 women who are dating guys who are widowers just started dating guys who are widowers. Like, oh my gosh, me too. And like they found each other and now like they're paired up as accountability right. partners. It's just like there's somebody that's going to have a similar experience to you, which I think is really nice. The other thing that makes that really nice is the fourth benefit of the community, which is the protege effect. The protege effect is research showing that when you teach others something, it helps you. And so we see this a lot with like someone who's brand new is just learning how to pace, identify the guys who aren't that great, or like they're new and they're learning a bunch of things. But then they're always in the same masterminds in the same community with clients who just 2 months ago were in their shoes, but now have a pretty good handle on those things. And so the more senior clients are able to help the newer folks. And right. You'll hear it over and over again. And I know this myself from being a teacher for 20 years, a professor. You don't ever learn anything better than when you have to teach it to somebody else. I don't care how well you know anything until you try to teach it to somebody else and simplify it and just kind of pull out the key points. You don't know it as well as you think you do, but there's something about having the ability to share your wisdom with others, which our clients get to do. Every single mastermind we have what we call the after party. The clients hang out, no coaches. They just kind of bounce ideas off each other. The what we call our legacy or our masters members, they get a chance to share their wisdom with the newer folks. It's such this great mentoring relationship and model that we have. It's something that I think everyone should look for in their day-to-day life.
I totally agree. And I can relate to this because it's so easy to give advice, but it's hard to give advice and live up to your own advice. Mm-hmm. And I think like when you're just telling a friend like, oh, he's not right for you or whatever, and you're just like throwing that out a few times, like you can be incongruent with that advice yourself and kind of lie to yourself. But if you're doing it day in, day out as a mentor, as a protege, as a true mentor through this process, then you really have to live up to everything you're saying. And I will tell you, like something I've been noticing recently within Love Strategies itself is that everyone at this company is incredibly high character. And I'm not just saying that because I hired them and we're growing. I really am saying that because I believe because we teach such core principles and we need to teach it every single day to other people, you have to live up to it or else you're just full of shit. You're just full of it. And like I've gone through that own journey. Like sometimes I'll be saying something and I'll be coaching our clients and I'll be like, am I showing up that way? I'm sure you've done that, Gary, yourself. Yeah. Where you're like, like let's say we're talking about the importance of not lying in a relationship and building trust. It makes you, and if you really lay down the point for 20 minutes and you're talking about it and you're really guiding a number of people, you kind of get off the session. You're like, have I told any white lies recently? And you have to have and that constant adjustment where you're just like, maybe I have, and I need to adjust that. And you just have to live up to the advice that you're giving. And so we really, really encourage that for our clients. We encourage that if you're not in Love Strategies, if you're getting out there to guide and support people. If you're telling a woman she needs to, or a friend that she needs to love herself and give herself grace in a situation, you're doing that over and over again, guess what? You're going to have to do that to yourself.
Yeah.
You just have to. Otherwise, you'll feel totally out of alignment with yourself within time.
Well, I think your point about advice being very different than actually like teaching and mentorship is really important, right? I mean, bad advice, advice of any kind is cheap, but bad advice is expensive in the sense it costs you a lot of time, heartache, missteps. And so many people just kind of cheaply throw out advice, particularly people in relationships to their single friends. And we should write a book, Adam, just on the bad advice that friends and family give our clients. It's like,
Oh my
you know, they'll
God.
come in like, Dr. Gary, my friend just told me blank. And I'm like, oh no. And it's usually, it's well-intentioned, it's misinformed, but advice is, like you said, cheaply given. But mentorship, so many of our clients will finish their time with us, and then we have this ability for them to stick around. And so many of them do. And you ask them, like, why? Because, you know, they want to kind of keep up with the lessons and kind of be part of the community. But so many of them, they really enjoy giving back and serving as that mentor to others. And it's just like, wow, like that again, like what a fantastic thing.
I agree. Why don't you close this off, Gary?
Brings us to our last piece of how community helps. And it's something we teased at the beginning, and it's a official psychological thing, but it's called, How I Met Your Mother, the TV show, called it this. They call it the cheerleader effect. Researchers, not as cool, call it group attractiveness or the friend effect, but it's essentially that people appear more attractive when they're presented in a group than when they're presented alone. So basically, being surrounded by others can enhance your appearance. Being affiliated with others can enhance your appearance. And so when it comes to just like basic physical attractiveness, what happens, researchers think, is we mentally average all the faces, but there's also this idea of social proof. And so when you have a tribe, when you have some people and you have friends, you have social proof that you're cool. You're okay to hang out with. You're fun. Other people like you, right? If all these other people are hanging out with me, then they must like me. And it's like, it just shows like, okay, because I think, and there's some validity to this, like people who are complete narcissistic jerks and psychopaths, like, they're not going to have great friends. It's not going to seem, they're at least not going to have like warm, close friendships. And I think that is one of those things where just having those other people around you, we talked a little bit before about how, you know, you're less needy about relationships. That helps too. But really very directly having your group with you will make you more attractive.
Yeah. And the quality of your group. I mean, have you ever, for those who are listening, have you ever met a guy's group of friends and thought to yourself, there's no way I'm marrying this guy. If these are the types of people he allows into his life, yikes, not for me. So again, I think what lays all this down is to kind of summarize all of this. I think it's so important to have a community, but it's even more important to have a high character community. And if you really want to attract a high character person, then that's the place to start. Because Jim Rohn has this famous quote, which is, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And I love that. But something we say a lot of love strategies is that you're the average of the person you marry. Like, you will become the person you marry. Their behaviors, their thoughts, their actions, and so on and so forth within time. And so with all of that true, then what does this mean? Well, the person you marry will be the average of the people you spend the most time with, right? Because eventually you'll turn into the people you spend the most time with, and eventually you'll become the person you marry. So it's all, that's a very long way of saying, Gary, maybe you can help me with being concise, but that's a very long way of saying, if you're single right now and you're looking for love, focus on community first, building that support system so that you can attract that high character guy.
Yeah, it's something we say a lot, which is, you know, to find the right person, start by being the right person. And one of the ways you can be the right person is you don't have to put it all on yourself. I mean, that can be really intimidating. It's be the right person by surrounding yourself with the right people, because dating can be hard, but everything in life is a whole lot easier when you go with somebody else.